Yeah.
All right, well, welcome Camilla and welcome to your crew. And so I'm going to turn off my video as you're doing the presentation so we can just have you on. And so the students aren't distracted, because the more people that are on here, the more distracted they are. So I am going to go ahead and take it away. And then David, if you want to go ahead and turn off your screen as well. And I'm just going to have Camilla be on here. And if you guys just can help with answering questions at the end, we will.
Perfect. Awesome. So I will turn off everyone's video just to make sure. Okay, perfect. So hi, everybody. My name is Maria Camila Taylor. I go by Camila or Camilla. Rhymes with vanilla, Godzilla, salmonella. I always get a little sad whenever I say that because what an awful rhyming, but it'll help you remember. So I am the admissions counselor for CU Boulder. So I'm the person that works on the front line of the university in regards to answering any questions you all may have, to talk about the majors, the community, the academic experiences, whatever it may be as it relates to CU Boulder and just the college going process itself. So I am also an alumna of CU Boulder. I graduated with a double major in ecology and evolutionary biology and communication, a minor in leadership, and also pursued the public health certificate as well. Additionally, I am a first generation graduate. I am the first one in my family to go to college due to no fault of my parents. My mom actually immigrated here from Nicaragua when she was 17, and my dad immediately entered into the workforce after graduating from high school. So, celebrating first generation. We love our first generation students at CU. And lastly, I'm originally from Los Angeles, California. And so when I moved out here to go to CU Boulder, part of the Californians ruining the traffic for everybody. We are bad drivers. But with that being said, I know I have some other colleagues. One of my very own colleagues here with me today will introduce herself later on. But we just have some people shadowing to experience what is it like for CU Boulder to be on the road, to meet students virtually over this new COVID world and still share about CU. But let's go ahead and get started to certainly talk about the academic opportunities within CU. Now, it really just comes through as a major, minor, concurrent degree program and or certificate. And essentially, those are all fancy ways to say, pursue your interests. What is it that interests you? What excites you about potential majors? What excites you or interests you about minors, concurrent degree programs, and certificates? All four of these are going to exist in our academic colleges. And so our colleges are just a way to organize those very four categories. It's just to make sure students can find themselves in one. So let's say you have an interest in something related to art, to look at potentially the College of Arts and Sciences. But that's not to say that that's the only college you should be looking at. Now, within the college, or this very college, it is known for our natural sciences, our social sciences, our humanities. So anything in relation to that, from our 5 biologies that we offer, to ethnic studies, to cinema studies, to art practices, any of the languages you might want to be able to learn or to be able to pursue as a major, those will all reside within the College of Arts and Sciences. So it does contain the largest amount of academic opportunities, resulting in the largest amount of students, but it's still an 18-to-1 student to faculty ratio. Now, in addition, you solely, it's completely up to you. We encourage our students to not solely see themselves in one college, but to pursue as many colleges that they so please, including the College of Engineering. Now, with engineering, we have biomedical, aerospace, mechanical, civil, environmental, architectural, engineering physics, engineering plus. The list certainly goes on for the potential opportunities to dive into engineering fields. With the College of Engineering, it is ranked number 16 in the nation and number 1 in the Rocky Mountain region. So we're very proud of the possibilities for our students to get their hands dirty, their feet wet, and then to pursue amazing opportunities as soon as graduation comes, as we have such incredible partnerships with Lockheed Martin, with NASA, with organizations not only just in the Boulder region like Google, but all over the world, and pushing our students to get hired by these companies. Now, we actually have so much overlap between the College of Engineering and the Leeds School of Business that we have built a physical bridge between the two academic buildings, which the colleges reside in. Not only does it provide for great accessibility, but it also provides for a beautiful metaphor that we want to see more overlap between the two. We want our students to consider engineering and business, as it really does provide for particular skills that can change you from just an engineer, from just a business student. Now, with the Leeds School of Business, your major will be business administration, and then your emphasis is what will change. So there are 5 different emphases you can choose from: accounting, finance, management, real estate, and marketing. With those 5, of course, you can have more than one, and you'll notice there is no international business, and that's just because all 5 will automatically contain an international lens. With all 5, we're recognizing it's not just about studying the United States, but it's studying the global economy of these emphases. And so we want our students to recognize that immediately with the first day. Now, next, we also have the College of Media, Communication, and Information. We do have one of the colleagues here to be able to talk about the College of Media, Communication, and Information and share a little bit more about what exists in this college.
Perfect. Thanks, Camilla. Hi, everyone. My name is Shelby Javernick. I'm the Student Recruitment Manager just for the College of Media, Communication, and Information. So I work really closely with Camilla and her team of the Office of Admissions to really help you through your college search. And if you have questions that are really specific to your academic area of interest, that's where I can come in and answer those. I have my colleagues Chris and David here too. So together we should be able to answer any questions you have at the end about our college. We call ourselves CMCI for short. We actually just celebrated our 5th birthday in July. So we are the newest college at CU Boulder, and really became a college to reimagine the way that we're teaching these things on campus. So the fields of media, communication, and information changed so fast that we wanted to make sure that we were equipping our students with the skills and the knowledge that they need to be adaptable to these fields when they graduate. So some of our programs have been around for over 100 years, and some of them are brand new, and it's a great blend of really innovative and creative fields. So what type of student is typically in CMCI? We see a wide range of students. So we see students who are really creative and are makers and want to do things like photography and videography. We also see students who want to tell stories, who are really interested in telling the stories of people or ideas or places that their stories don't get told. We also see a large group of students who are really interested in analyzing the world's problems. So we have a major that really focuses on data and how it can solve and analyze problems in the world. So we have a wide range. Students interested in anything from activism to storytelling and everything in between. And we see a lot of our majors overlap in their curriculum, and students kind of taking classes across our different majors. So I will tell you the 6 majors that we offer so you kind of know what we're all about. Most of our majors offer minors as well. And we also have a sports media certificate and an international media certificate that don't neatly fall into our majors. But our 6 majors are communication, information science, journalism, media production, media studies, and strategic communication. Strategic communication is where you'll find advertising and public relations. So if you're interested in either of those fields, that's where it will fall. So a question I get a lot from parents and sometimes students is, what can you do with a CMCI degree? So where are we going to work after we graduate, right? That's kind of the goal of college, is to get a job. And we say, where can't you work? So every company and organization nowadays has a media department or a communication department that is working on messaging and branding and internal communication and organizational communication just for their company. And so our students can go into these companies and use the skills they're learning in CMCI classes and really leverage those. We also have students who go into traditional ad agencies, news stations, and kind of the more traditional fields that you would think of, but when you think of where can I work, it really could be anywhere. And that's where students get really excited because they're able to blend what they're interested in maybe outside of the classroom. Let's say you're really interested in in startup culture, or you're really interested in the music scene. Well, you can work in those fields in a media or communication department and leverage the skills you're learning. So I have a student who graduated a few years ago, and now she works for a small record label in Boulder, and she's really passionate about music, but she got her degree in advertising and she's able to use it there. And then I also have another student who's really interested in skiing and snowboarding, and she's actually working in that industry now with her degree. So that's a really cool thing about it. I actually got my degree in communication, and now I'm leveraging it through education and higher education. So it really does leave a lot of doors open. It's also, we see a lot of students from across the university picking up our majors and minors as secondary area of study. So if you're thinking about studying business or engineering or something in arts and sciences, you could easily pick up one of our majors as a second degree or as a minor or certificate program. Awesome. I'll hand it back over to Camilla now.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Shelby. Yes. Now, certainly I also majored in communication at CU Boulder, like I previously mentioned, and you'll also notice I was in the College of Arts and Sciences. Did those things in 4 years. So truly think about either being in CMCI or connecting it with another major if you're so interested in doing so. Now, in conjunction, you might also find yourself interested in the program in environmental design. Before I do, Yvette, you said go Dodgers. I agree, go Dodgers. I'm so glad we won the World Series last night. I was celebrating and was so excited. So yes, but with that being said, yes, the program in environmental design is an option for you to pursue. It will feature architecture, landscape planning, urban design, anything that really features design. So you can then incorporate that environmental piece, understanding how do you design, whether it be a product or a space or some sort of building, with the sustainability in mind while reducing carbon footprint on the earth. So if you're designing a product, how can we reduce waste so that there's no unnecessary waste that is going to be a result of people using that product. Second to last, we offer the College of Music. The College of Music is going to be very unique in that it offers an audition-based process. In fact, that's if you do plan on majoring with your musical instrument, you will have to send in a recording of you playing that musical instrument. That also does include your voice, and that will be evaluated by the musical faculty in order for an admissions into the College of Music. Now, we do also have non-major possibilities. So if you just want to continue that instrument, you just don't want to lose the ability to play, you can also be able to do that in some sort of connection with another academic program. Lastly, in the music world at CU, we do offer a musical theater, musical theory, and music education. So you're able to take it one more step beyond playing the musical instrument, if you so please. Lastly, we also offer the School of Education. With the School of Education, it will house two majors, elementary education and leadership and community engagement. With leadership and community engagement, it's a perfect major for those social justice warriors. So anyone looking to continue a nonprofit, start a nonprofit, maybe go to the Peace Corps after graduation, really just wanting to become and learning how to become a leader in the community that they particularly may come from or are going to move into, that's an amazing major to be able to learn how to do so. The second opportunity is the elementary education major, exactly how it sounds for those students wanting to become elementary school teachers. However, that's not the only possibility that you can pursue if you want to still become a teacher. So if you wanted to become a middle school or high school teacher, we do have licensures where you would combine that with the subject you wanted to teach. So if you wanted to become like a 9th grade history teacher, you would major in something that relates to history and then pursue a licensure to teach on the high school level. Now, of course, these are so many possibilities, right? This is exciting, but it's a little overwhelming. The amount of times that I ask, what do you want to major in? I often feel bad asking that question because there's this tiny amount of pressure that exists with that question, and resulting that the student might feel like they need to have an answer. And I'm here to say it's okay if you don't know what you want to major in. It's truly okay. It's not a trick. We don't necessarily need you to know immediately right off the bat what you want to study. And I'll tell you a secret. Most students who are so sure, they tell me, yes, miss, I'm totally going to major in that. I talk to them the following year and they've already changed their mind. So it's okay if you change your mind, if you need a little bit more time to explore all of your options. And that results in us creating the program in exploratory studies. So this is one of our academic colleges, but it is unique that you cannot graduate from exploratory studies. It's just meant to give you this breather within your first year of college to help you figure out what you should study based off of data. So based off of data like, what are you good at studying? I have students who choose engineering, but engineering does not choose them. They might be struggling with math or they hate math. We don't want you to be in a major that you're going to be 100% miserable in and continuously struggling. So now we're going to figure out, okay, well, what about engineering do you like? And let's see if that's connected in maybe a major in CMCI or a major in environmental design or arts and sciences. So then that way we can lessen how many math classes you have to take, but you can still get that connection that you originally wanted in the first place. Now, this is not meant to delay graduation, so you can opt into it with your application to CU Boulder as a whole. Now, moving on to the community aspect. Academics are only one portion of your collegiate experience. Community makes up an even bigger portion, I would argue, that has a lot to do with the academic aspect. Because when you think about it, when you're at a school you enjoy, when you're hanging around people you like, when you are connected and have some part and connection to the university you go to, you have a less likely chance of graduating and a less likely chance of transferring. It goes a long way to make sure that you're keeping up with your academics. Not only are you also trying to figure out, CU Boulder as a whole, but you're trying to figure out how to be a college student. When you think about it, 5 months prior to you starting college, you had to ask permission to go to the bathroom. It's an odd thing when you truly think about it. You have to announce your bodily functions to the class to get permission to go. And yes, it's just, I think about that often for some reason. But within your first year, it's a newfound freedom that can exist for many, if not all students. This idea of, you have class only pretty much 15 hours a week. Every 1 hour you're in class, that's 2 to 3 hours outside of class, studying, preparing for that class. That you are figuring how to study for a final exam. What are office hours? Where's the Ramaley building? Is it Ramaley or Ramaley? I don't even know how to pronounce it. So there's things like that that can really come into fruition just by starting your first year of college. And because of that, we do require students to live on campus. It's also going to be up to you. While we do require it, there's that COVID elephant in the room where we recognize some students might not feel comfortable living on campus, and we are totally okay with that. However, we will assume you're going to live on campus until you fill out the petition telling us otherwise. Now, for those who would like to live on campus, there are two options in how to go about that. The residential academic program, which features an academic component in your residence hall. So one of your classes in that each semester will take place in the same building in which you live. And then we have the living and learning community that does not have the academic component, but instead an interest to connect students to one another. So for example, the active living and learning community, where students love to be active in some way, shape, or form, physically or mentally. Now, outside of the residence halls, we have over 500 different student clubs and organizations that you can choose from. Certainly here in this photo is our multicultural fraternities and sororities strolling for one another. So you can certainly see that you can connect with people that look like you, that don't look like you, maybe have the same cultural identity that you do, and to be able to share that with one another at CU Boulder. Now, there's other ways outside of that where you can also connect, whether you want to study abroad or volunteer with our volunteer resource center, or be able to have a new idea, a new invention that you want to bring to life. We do have various competitions to provide student groups with money to kickstart their ideas, their inventions. And beyond that, we also have silly things like the Taylor Swift Fan Appreciation Club that's slowly dying on campus. It is true. They are not doing so hot at CU. So if you would like to be able to take that over, I know they will happily accept people. Or you can start your own club, whether it is something as serious or silly as the McDonald's Fan Appreciation Club. You really can start clubs that run the gamut as just based off of your interests, so you can be able to connect and find people that have the same interests as you. Now, your academics in your community will lead you to the final day at graduation when you're walking across Folsom Stadium and you're looking your loved ones in the eye and you're saying, Mom and Dad, I did it. I graduated from the University of Colorado Boulder and I'm a forever buff. Now, certainly I remember that day because I never thought I would get to that day as a first generation student. And I will never forget that my dad also wore a cap and gown and told everybody he was graduating from paying tuition. So definitely a dad joke that he still brings up to this day. But with all silliness aside, you have this question of, well, why CU Boulder? I know that there are a lot of ideas. There's this perception in Boulder, in the Denver metro area about Boulder, that it's far away, that you shouldn't go there and things like that. And I still always encourage CU Boulder as an option. Please consider it just by applying. And we'll talk about the application process in just a bit. But you do have a lot of amazing options in the Denver metro area and in just the state of Colorado and beyond. But with that, our CU Boulder students are seeing a huge value and a huge return on their investment with having a CU Boulder diploma. And that's just listed here. The median starting salary is $55,000 and the median career salary for our student/graduates are $111,000. Not only 92% of our CU Boulder graduates were employed in grad school or in military service within 6 months of graduation. And those that did choose grad school, so that does include medical school, law school, master's or PhD programs. The list certainly goes on just in that additional schooling. 74% of them got into their top choice grad school program. So that does include their top choice medical school, their top choice law school. They're having options as far as where to be able to continue their studies. This is a short list of the top companies employing our alumni. Not listed here, but featured in this photo is Google. Google, as I've mentioned, did open up a campus in Boulder, Colorado, specifically looking for our CU Boulder students. And then with this list, I like to clarify that before they were giving our alumni jobs, they were giving our students internships that happen to turn into jobs. So we recognize the importance of exposure. We want our students to have plenty of opportunities to intern with all of these amazing companies and then some. So then that way they're building their resume, they're building that networking, they're connecting with people that can then eventually give them jobs once they graduate. So I'm going to go ahead and transition to the application processes and the financial aid piece. I heard a piece at the very beginning that it can be expensive, and we're going to break that down. So please take notes, pull out a piece of paper if you want to be able to take notes, so we can be able to make sure that instead of you paying us, we can pay you to go to CU Boulder. So I want to actually just take a look at the chat to see, okay, no questions, awesome. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and transition to the application. Now, I mentioned earlier, you want to make CU Boulder an option for yourself. And in order to do that, it's just by completing the application. I would rather you tell me, look, miss, I'm going to go to CU Denver because they have a nursing program, rather than I wish I would have applied to CU Boulder. I hope we can recognize the differences in the narratives, is that you can create CU Boulder as an option for yourself to consider later on where you would like to go to school. Now, in order to do that is by completing the application, and we are only on the common application. So it's a little bit longer. I'm not the biggest fan, I'll tell you the truth, but I'm still here to help you along the way when it comes to filling out things on the Common App. And the reason why I'm not the biggest fan is because it tends to be a little bit longer. You'll recognize that when you start filling it out, with the idea being that you'll send all this information up to 20 schools. So there are 11 schools in the state of Colorado that use the common application. So in fact, instead of filling out 11 different applications, you fill it out one time, and then you can send it to up to those 11 schools, particularly up to 20 schools around the world. In total, there's about 910 schools that use the common application. Now, this is the point where students come up to me and they say, well, I'm not going to apply still. I'm like, why? Why aren't you going to apply? And they say, because I'm not going to get in. I'm like, you're right. You're not going to get in because you didn't apply. How am I supposed to help you get in if you don't apply? So we don't have a minimum GPA. We don't have a minimum test score. We do not have a minimum GPA. We do not have a minimum test score. Let me repeat that. No minimum. There really, truly is no minimum for CU Boulder. What we can show you is regards to the middle 50%. So 50% of our students were within these ranges and were admitted in some way, shape, or form to CU Boulder, but 25% had below these ranges. So had below a 3.52, below an 1170, below a 26, and were still admitted in some way, shape, or form to CU. Now the other 25 had above to complete that bell curve, if you're familiar with that. So this is not a minimum. This is not a threshold. This is not a guarantee whether you're in this range or not. When you think about it, a student can have a 4.0 GPA and still, quite frankly, be a jerk, right? For lack of better words. A student can have a 2.3 high school GPA, but that cumulative GPA doesn't take in all the improvements that they've made throughout the 4 years of high school, because it's only focusing on the cumulative aspect instead of those improvements. So that's why we ask for all the things we ask for, like our 2 short essays. The reason why you've been admitted to CU Boulder could potentially be coming straight from your essays. Your essays have a lot of weight on the application because it's your chance to have a conversation between us or between you and us. You can you can talk to us about anything, whether those are your successes, your failures, your hardships, your barriers that you faced in your life, anything you want to tell us. And that shares a character aspect that I appreciate way more than a high school GPA or a test score. So not only do we have 1 essay, but we have 2 essays that we're asking you to fill out so we can find even more reasons to have you at CU Boulder. You'll also see we ask for an application fee, which certainly can be waived. Just reach out to me if possible. And then the official high school transcripts and the official college transcripts. And then you'll notice we are test optional. So test optional is a big concept nowadays. It makes sense because of the accessibility or lack of accessibility to be able to take the SAT or the ACT. So let's go ahead and break this down just a little bit because I think there's a lot of confusion that comes to play with like whether or not you should submit test scores. So if you've taken the SAT or ACT and you don't like your scores, that's totally okay. Don't send it to us. If you have taken either exam and you like your scores, awesome, send it to us. If you don't know what to do and you want to take the exam, you're signed up for it, but you want to also submit your application, or maybe you're waiting on your test scores and you'll receive your test scores after you submit. When in doubt, submit without. So just tell us you're not going to send us those test scores. Still take the exam or still, look forward to receiving your test scores. And if they are good or you're proud of them or you are like, whoa, these are awesome, I really want CU Boulder to eventually consider this, what you can do is you could save that for an appeal process. So if you did not receive an admissions decision that you wanted or did not receive a merit-based scholarship that you wanted, you could then use that test score as new academic information to appeal. So it'll still work in your favor potentially if you do need it. So still take it if you want, still look forward to receiving those test scores as it can provide as new academic information to appeal. I know it's a little bit tricky. You can meet with me. You can, email me if you have any particular questions about your application because we can break it down even further. Now, in addition to that, we do ask for one academic letter of recommendation and also a list of activities you do outside of the classroom, whether you're part of pre-collegiate, you have a job, you babysit your siblings or take care of family members, whatever it may be. We want to know these things. A lot of these things are super cool. And if you don't tell us, we just can't assume or we just don't know. So please make sure you're sharing that with us. Now, everything you see here must be turned in by November 15th for early action or January 15th for regular decision. Early action, if you apply early, you'll just know earlier. So if you apply and get all your materials in by November 15th, you will know on or before February 1st. And if you apply a regular decision, you will know on or before April 1st, with the national confirmation deadline being May 1st. So please keep that in mind. Please recognize, just apply earlier to get it done, and then you have more time to financially plan, to consider all of your options, to weigh your decisions with all the schools you've been admitted to, and eventually where you would like to go after high school. Now, the third step is to check your email. Please, 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 please check your email. I know this is pretty hard sometimes because when I look at my email, I get overwhelmed. You know how many Bed Bath & Beyond coupons that you continually send, or just emails for DSW, all these emails. And so I recognize it can get hard to stay on track, especially once you start applying to all these schools. All these schools are already reaching out to you. They're letting you know about all of this information. And the reason why, it's not necessarily to annoy you, but it's to provide you for more information to make the right decision later on. It's just to give you all of the information, and you certainly can pick and decide, well, maybe I should attend that event, or I should check what this email is. So please just read those emails, at least give it a chance, because some of those emails are very important, like whether or not you're missing something from your application. We will also email you your information to access your application status page, which you can consider as an application tracker. So within that, it'll tell you once we've received everything or if we're still missing something. It can also post, and once we're ready to release your admissions decision, it'll be readily available there. But before we're able to do that, we do need a completed application in order to review it. So we have what's called a holistic review. Sometimes I have counselors and students come up to me and say, well, I have a 4.0 GPA and I have a 1,500 SAT score. Am I going to get in? And to that, I can't say yes and I can't say no, because it's not solely just based off of your GPA or your test score. If it was, we wouldn't ask for everything that we do ask for, because there's more to you than that. So notice how the first thing isn't necessarily your GPA, but what types of courses you're taking. Are they challenging you? What is your ultimate grade trend and your transcript? What kind of leadership positions or things you do outside of the classroom? And then lastly, any extenuating circumstances. This is something I want to take a moment to hit on, as 2020, awful year, other than the Lakers and the Dodgers winning, but awful year. And truly, if there have been other parts of this year or even previous to this year that has happened and has rippled into your academics and has affected your academics negatively, for example, even just this online world of studying online, having to take classes online, it could be that you're just not an online learner. We recognize that's a potential. However, you do need to let us know that, because we can't assume that for every single student. So please, you are, and of course we can always meet so we can properly show you where to include that. Now, lastly, the most important, I think, piece, because sometimes this piece of the financial aid can even just prevent students from applying. So let's go ahead and break it down. There are many ways, just in general, for students to pay for school. Now, here's 4 pretty well-known types of aid for students to look forward to or to understand. So let's start breaking those down. So scholarships. Of course, it's a hot word, scholarships. I know a lot of counselors and teachers and educators love to say, apply to as many scholarships as you can. Every time I hear that, I cringe, because I just think to myself, did that ever motivate me when I was 17, 18 years old? No, it didn't. It just stressed me out. So instead, think about it as a scholarship a day keeps the bank away. Truly, apply to one scholarship today, and you're done. Apply to another scholarship tomorrow, you're done. Apply to another scholarship the next day, you're done. At the end of the month, you have 30 scholarships done. And now you've developed this habit of, oh, I didn't apply to a scholarship today. Let me apply to one. So the worst they can do is say no, or here's $500 to be able to go to whatever you needed to go to. Of course, you don't have to do it every single day if you can't commit to that time, but please commit to a schedule that does work for you. So if that's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because you have not as many classes versus Tuesday, Thursday, then please get into that rhythm to apply to those scholarships. The other three, grants, loans, and work study. Grants being free money, loans being money you have to pay back, and then work study being tied to working. So if you receive, for example, $2,500 in work study, you would actually never receive that money all up front. What would happen is you have to find a job, and then that $2,500 would go towards the employer. That is what your employer uses to pay you like a regular employee. So it makes you preferential to be able to hire because that employer gets to save their money and they don't have to use any part of their money because somebody else is paying you and gave that employer money and then is able to then pay you. So let's go ahead and take a look. The grants, loans, and work study generally come from FAFSA. If you can't fill out FAFSA, that's okay. We still have the CAFSA. It's an acronym I struggle with every time, but it's the Colorado specific application for financial aid. So that is for Colorado institutions only. So if you can't fill out FAFSA, totally okay. Just fill out the CAFSA. So you have to fill out one. So don't fill out both. You just fill out one. We also have the CU Boulder Scholarship application that opens on Thursday? Is that November 1st? I don't even know what day it is. Okay, but no, because Saturday is, so on Sunday. So whatever November 1st is, then we have our CU Boulder Scholarship application that's available to applicants. So it's one thing for me to tell you, fill out FAFSA, do the scholarship application, a scholarship a day keeps the bank away. But sometimes there's this conception, especially in the Denver metro area, that CU Boulder is expensive. It's a god-awful, pricey school. And I'm not going to lie. Sometimes it can be, but sometimes it can be the most affordable institution that you can choose from in the state of Colorado. It just depends on your financial aid. So let's take a look at how this goes into playing a part, how financial aid works in your favor to be able to then chip away at those costs. So on the right, you'll see a real financial aid example, but a fake student name for confidentiality purposes. So with this fake student, we'll go call him Alex. Alex applied early, got everything in on or before November 15th. They submitted their FAFSA in October. There is plenty of advantages to be able to fill it out as soon as possible. And then they received an award letter. So an award letter is a standard practice of most universities that tell you, how much money, if anything, that you owe that university that can come either out of pocket or from other third-party scholarships. So we have, based off two numbers, the estimated cost of tuition and then the estimated cost of housing and meals. You'll notice that if you remember, housing is only a requirement your first year. And of course, if you don't live on campus, you don't pay that amount. So just keep that in mind. If you look to the right, you'll see the specific award letter that was given. So with this student, they received an esteemed scholarship, which is our merit-based scholarship. Whether or not you submit test scores, we will still evaluate every application holistically for merit-based aid. And then below that, you'll see the Pell Grant. This student particularly received the full Pell for this year. I know it's gone up a couple $100 for this year, but for this particular year, they filled it out. That was full Pell at the time. And a student can even be partial Pell. So even if you receive like a penny or 50 cents of the Pell Grant, again, type of free money, you will automatically qualify for the CU Promise. What that states is CU Boulder promises to give you the rest of the money you need to pay for your tuition. So that results in you just receiving a lump sum of free money from CU Boulder. the pretty heaviest qualification for this is just qualifying again for the Pell Grant. So every year you qualify for the Pell Grant, again, even a penny's worth, you will automatically have your tuition paid for by CU Boulder. So that's why Alex received that lump sum of a free $10,000. I know that's kind of ironic, right? Free $10,000? Yes, free $10,000 from CU Boulder. Now, that's not it. Alex still kept applying. And with this student, they received a CU Lead scholarship. CU Lead is an umbrella term for a retention-based programs at CU Boulder. And when you participate in a CU Lead, you receive a scholarship for the most part. That's a way to get involved at CU Boulder, which we'll talk about next semester, but they received a CU Lead scholarship. They filled out the CU Boulder for a scholarship application, the one that opens on November 1st, and received the CU First Generation Scholarship. And then because this particular student was a part of Denver Public Schools, they received a Denver Scholarship Foundation Scholarship, which is considered a third-party scholarship. Now, if you look, CU Boulder isn't expecting any money from Alex. Instead, we owe Alex money. So please, certainly, it starts off with your application. We can't give you any part of this financial aid or even talk about financial aid until we receive your application and a completed application to CU Boulder. So I'm going to show those deadlines. Once again, you've been even more motivated, even more inspired to be able to apply to as much as a scholarship a day to get your FAFSA turned in and things like that. But I'm going to go ahead and open it up to questions with the 15 minutes remaining. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. So I'll just put my email in the chat. So then that way we can be able to just stop sharing. But are there any particular questions? CU Boulder related, Dodgers related, no, just kidding. CU Boulder College related, anything like that, CMCI related, whatever it may be.
Kamina, I have a question for some students that might be on here that probably prompt them and help them. So as far as concurrent enrollment classes are concerned, do they transfer? How do they transfer? How do you guys do or work with that?
Yeah, great question. So it will transfer. It will automatically transfer. It's just a matter of how it will transfer depends on your major, because it depends if it's like a major class, a general education class, or elective. So regardless, it'll all go towards graduation. It just depends on the student and how it would transfer.
Right. And so the ones that are taking concurrent enrollment classes or dual class, that is, you guys are saving all that money and time by taking these classes. And if you're 11th graders, I would highly encourage you and consider taking at least your basic core classes that will transfer anywhere. Math and English or Speech 101 or psychology. I mean, those are all basic classes that you guys can take while you're in high school. And I shaved a whole semester off, meaning I went to Metro. So, I mean, it was less expensive, but you know, I saved a lot of money and I saved time just by taking concurrent enrollment classes. So make sure you guys, if you want to plan ahead, do that.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend that. I don't want to offend anybody, but I would recommend taking concurrent enrollment over any AP courses as well, because it guarantees the transfer rather than having to take an AP exam and potentially not passing the exam and not receiving that credit. So take the enrollment. And then as a college, we look at that more incredibly highly because that's an actual college class at a college setting, wherever it may be. And so we recognize the importance of that tremendously.
Question, if they are taking concurrent enrollment class and they get a C, how do you guys recognize that or look at that?
Yeah, so we still, I still like it because you're still challenging yourself. You're still being able to, I'd rather that than you took an easier class and got an A, or the fact that you even put yourself out there, because the thing is now you're going to build on that. And the idea is, okay, you already have exposure to a class setting, a lecture. And so now hopefully you've learned from your mistakes, if you did make any, to then improve yourself at a school like CU Boulder.
Right, and if you guys are in a concurrent enrollment class, anything below a C, like if you get a D or F, those will not transfer. And the sad thing is that if you fail, then you do have to pay that back to the school. So if you are taking concurrent enrollment classes, you do have contracts and there are stipulations. It's not a free class. It's not a free ride. So, and when you guys meet with Mrs. Remy, you guys all know that. So right now, Miss Remy is taking emails. She's sent all students emails starting in 10th grade, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. That concurrent enrollment classes are being offered now. You guys can sign up now, but it is a contract. If you fail, you pay. So, and I think if you get a D or an F, that's when, I think Ds still are passing. But I think if you get an F, that's when they charge you. But she'll be able to give you guys more information on that. Just check the emails when she sends those out. Any other questions, you guys? See You Succeed, how does that play in with you guys? And we have some students that are in See You Succeed.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Like concurrent enrollment, it'll still transfer. It just matters of what classes are being taken and how that would transfer.
And that also has a scholarship with it, right? Like a stipend.
I can't remember what particularly comes within what the benefits are, but I will also say, See You Succeed, your GPA, it does follow you. So if you get a C in a See You Succeed course, because it's part of the See You system, your GPA will follow you. So please make sure you consider that. We won't necessarily hold that against you, but you will start off with that GPA at CU Boulder. But as far as the other pros to it, I'm not necessarily familiar if that's only for a campus-specific scholarship, but I wouldn't be surprised if we gave students money for a CU Succeed course.
Awesome. This is a quiet crowd. Any questions? Lineberger? Anyone?
The other thing is I do also host virtual appointments. So if you are looking, maybe this is a lot to take in, this is certainly college is such a daunting, overwhelming process. I recognize that. I'm trying to make it as easy as possible for you. Not only can I talk about CU Boulder, but I also have contacts for other colleges in Colorado. We meet once a month together. So if you're have questions about CSU or things like that, you can always still meet with me so we could get you set for both CSU and CU Boulder, Metro, whatever it may be.
I have a question that I have a conversation, more like a statement. I have conversation with students all the time. They're like, I want to go to CU Boulder, but for maybe they didn't get enough funding or scholarships. So they decided to go to a 2-year community college. And I always tell them to work backwards, talk to the school and advisor of the school you want to go to and the major you want to get into. So to make sure that if you're going to a community college to take classes, you're taking the right classes. So they transfer over and you're not taking some random classes that they'll transfer, but they're not going towards your degree. So you just have all these extra classes you've paid for and they're not going towards a degree. There's no funnel. So work backwards. If you guys want to do community college first to warm up, go for the first or second year. That's highly encouraged. And then you can transfer those over to a university. But I recommend working backwards.
Mm-hmm. And I like what you said there. Make sure you apply first as a first-year student rather than to automatically say, oh no, I'm not going to have funding for. Don't assume anything, because also if you work with me, I can maybe push a scholarship. Sometimes I have financial aid who comes to me and says, I need to give out this scholarship, but nobody applied to it. And so it's a matter of, it's really about who you know. Don't just assume oh, I'm not going to get in. Oh, I'm not going to have enough funding. Please still apply. Please let's work together so we can be able to get you to where you're going to be the best and successful future for yourself.
Awesome. This is great. Any questions about student life or anything, you guys? There's a student of ours, one that I stay in contact with, and she was working for our foundation last year as an intern, but she just was initiated, or I don't know if initiate's a word, but in a sorority. And so she goes to CU Boulder and she loves it. It's a Latina sorority and they've been extremely supportive and it's probably one of the best things she's done. And now I feel like she's hooked. I felt for the first year, she was kind of her first semester was tough and her second semester. And then she's back, but I don't know. I think she kind of just weighed in whether she was staying or not. But then joining a club and joining this Latina sorority really kind of hooked her in. And now she has a supportive group around her, and she's all in now, all in. So it's been awesome to see that transition in her.
Yeah, it's definitely, and that is a transition that is pretty general to college itself. It's a transition I experienced going to CU Boulder. I mean, I love CU, but I struggled my first year. I almost transferred my first year back to UC Santa Barbara, but I stuck around and got more involved because there's this like conception that you find your friends your first year of college, which is like so not true. So, but we want to get you involved. There's plenty of potential to get involved. And to succeed and have a great time at CU and to make an impact, even if you are looking for that too.
Right. I mean, just remember your freshman year in high school and how intimidating that was, and how very the confidence level was just down in the gutter. So you guys, same thing for college. Your freshman year is gonna be different, feel different, look different, but just get the hang of it, stick with it, just stick with it. And you'll see going into your sophomore year, it just gets so much better. So we're all here. Camila, you're here if you want to add in your, you added information. And so this is recorded. So if you guys, any teachers on here want to show this to some of your afternoon students or students who didn't get to see it, or you want to put it on, I will share it onto the drive that all the teachers have access to. Other than that, if you guys don't have any questions, then we really appreciate you coming on, and I'll book you next semester again. So we love having you at least once a semester. That's cool.
Yeah,
and
totally.
We appreciate having the guests with us today.
Can I say something real quick?
Absolutely.
I just want to let the students know that there's also opportunity for summer programs that are available to students that are going to be able to help you kind of navigate the campus. For example, in CMCI, we have CMCI Connection, which is open to sophomores and juniors. And we also have Pathways to Excellence once you've been admitted into CMCI. And we have partners across the campus that have summer bridge programs. So look out for those as you do your research about the university. And I think that will help you kind of decide if that's the direction you want to go, because if you go into a summer program that is open to juniors and seniors, it doesn't mean that you're committed to CU. It's just giving you the opportunity to learn more and how to be a great student at CU. So I just wanted to share that with all of you.
The summer programs are amazing, and I can attest, I am a product of a summer bridge program at Metro.
Me too.
And I'm telling you, that was probably the best thing I did, because I was so worried. I'm a first generation too student, and my parents had no idea how to help me or support me, and I'm just like, this is scary. And so going into a summer bridge program, you take a class or two, and then they kind of just embrace you, and they just make you feel like family, and then you just feel like you can handle it. So it was one of the best things I did. Yep.
Yes, and I can share about summer bridge programs next semester, because they tend to be the summer before you like are high school senior or a junior even. So we can share about that next semester.
Okay.
Sorry, Camila.
Yes. Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much. Take care, everyone, and please don't hesitate to reach out to any one of us if you have any questions.
All right. Be safe and happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Bye.
Dia de la Dead.
Yes. Adios.
Bye.